Hello and welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK. I wanted to just pop up because I'm conscious of the fact that I've not published a video for a couple of weeks. Now that's not because I've been lazy. I've been incredibly busy on the garage conversion. So in this video, I'll give you a guided tour and an update on what's gone on so far. Quite a lot has happened, and what I am finding is that everything I do seems to have a knock-on effect. Seems to create a new problem. Now those problems are never insurmountable. What they just add to the workload and the time frame. Anyway, without further ado, let me get hold of the camera and take you on a guided tour. But before I do that, let me just say that we're in mid-November, beautiful sunny day, but we are about to have some cold weather. So this weekend, I'll be doing some gardening videos on winter protection. So look out for those because quite a lot of garden activity coming. Happily, because I've insulated the loft in there, a lot of my tender plants can come inside. So here is the cottage, which I bought nearly 3 years ago. It's nearly 450 years old. It's thatched, it's timber framed. It's listed grade 2. It's in conservation area and greenbelt, which has knock-on effects. And down there in the far corner of the garden is the garage block, which I have got planning permission to convert. Now, there was already electricity in the garage block, but it wasn't sufficient to be big enough for the things that I want to put in there. I'm going to have an electric boiler, electric heaters, I want electric plug sockets. So the electrician has told me that it needed to be upgraded, which is why I've had to dig this trench. This is a 2-foot trench, 2 foot for regulations, and that is going to take the electricity from the cottage all the way around the back of the garage. Now, talking of around the back of the garage, I'm going to take you there now because there's something else that you need to see. So that is my septic tank. En route to the back of the garage, I'll just tell you another story, which is that that's my septic tank and it kept filling up. I had it emptied and it filled up again. And we established, somebody came out and told me that my soakaway has failed. 80 years old and it's failed. So I got a price for it and I was told about £3,000. So I've decided to have a go myself. I'll be doing a video on this. In fact, all the things that I explain to you as I give you a guided tour of the garage conversion, I'll be doing smaller videos on, so that if you want a bit more detail, you can get it. Well, this is a trench I've dug by hand using a spade for a new soakaway, and I'm doing it in accordance with the regulations. The regulations are contained in a document called the General Binding Rules, and I am meeting the regulations. I'm allowed to do it because my septic tank was pre-existing and started its discharge before 1983 anyway. That's for another video. So new soakaway, a knock-on effect, a new soakaway. Right, now then, the drains for the toilet, which I'll be installing in the garage, have to also go into this septic tank. So they will have to come down a trench in this direction. So the electric is going in a trench in that direction, and the drains are going to come in the same trench in this direction, and then we'll have to cut into the main soil pipe down here, and they will go in there into the septic tank and then on to the soakaway. Right, so round the back I have to put a trench here for this electric cable. That's the new electric cable which has already been supplied. The electrician has supplied it and he's told me what I need to do, which is helpful because it means I can save money digging the trench myself. He will sign it off. He'll come and inspect my work and sign it off. That's a little tip really. If you can do things yourself and get them signed off, you can save a few quid. This is a concrete slab. That has to come up because I've got to put a trench in because number one, the electric cable is going in that direction around the back, and number two, the drains are going to come from through that wall there. There's going to be an ensuite downstairs in the corner inside. So the drains are going to come out and go down a trench in that direction. So the same trench will serve both the drains and the electric cable. I've already started the trench here at the back, as you can see. And that is my 2-foot gauge. That tells me when I've got down to 2 feet. As you can see there, and quite a useful little thing really. And I'll be taking this slab off and digging a trench down to the septic tank. Right, let's go inside and I'll show you what's going on indoors. So we're back out the side of the front of the garage now, which I'm converting. All this vegetation here had to be cut off over there so that I can get access to the septic tank. Right, okay, let's go over the bridge now. Inside, these two garage doors are going to be replaced with bifold doors. I've got planning permission for heritage aluminium black framed, narrow framed bifold doors, so they're going to go in there. Now there's a knock-on effect there because the floor has to be insulated first. That's a 6-inch slab of concrete, but there's no insulation underneath it, so I have to retrofit insulation on top. 100mm of insulation, that's insulation there. But the insulation in the floor has to be 100mm thick, which is that thickness there. So the floor will be covered in 100mm of insulation, and on top of that, there will be cable floor, which is this hardwood flooring, floating floor. Why is that having a knock-on effect? Well, it brings the floor level up, which means that I can't fit the bifold onto here. I'll have to block up. I've got some spare blocks, fortunately, over there. So I'll be able to use a line of blocks across there, and that will accept the bifold doors. They'll go on there. Now, more insulation. Insulation is the key word when it comes to building regs. These walls, that's a single block thickness, and the building inspector wants 100mm of insulation. So what I'm doing, I could have done dot and dab with insulation boards in the cavity there. What I'm doing is I'm going to build a stud wall here, and that stud wall will be infilled with insulation. That stuff, that's 60mm, that's 60mm studding. So that will be inside there, and there will be a stud frame all the way along the inside of here. And then screwed to the outside of that will be this insulated plasterboard. So you've got plasterboard there with more insulation. 40 plus 60 is 100mm of insulation down that wall. 100mm of insulation on the floor, 100mm of insulation on the walls. It's going to be very, very warm. Back wall and front wall, slightly different because these are double blocks. This is a single block on the side walls, double block construction on the gables. So I'm allowed to put slightly less insulation on the gables. I'll show you more of that when I get upstairs. I've already bought the insulation, as you can see, it's already there waiting to be fitted. Now the staircase is another slight problem, but what you do is you learn that these problems, they're not insurmountable. This staircase is not compliant. You need a landing at the bottom of your stairs, which is equal to the width of the stairs. There isn't a big enough landing at the bottom. You also need 2 meters of head height at the top, where the staircase emerges. And I'll show you now that there just isn't. Because as you go up these stairs and you emerge onto that landing there, it's only got about 1.5 meters head height, which is a risk because you could come running up here, bang your head, tumble back down the stairs. So I'm having to replace the staircase. Not something I originally thought I'd have to do, but I am having to do that now to get building regs approval and to make it safe. And I want it to be safe because, you know, my friends and family are going to be staying here. So what's going to happen is I've got to block the doorway up, and the stairs will enter in this direction, turn once, then go up, and then at the top they will turn again, so that when you get up to the top of those stairs, I'm going to come back down here in a minute and tell you what I'm doing, but when you get up to the top of the stairs, you will enter the room at this point here, and at that point there you've got 2 meters of head height. That's the solution to that problem. How do you design a staircase? Well, I'll show you full in the video, in another video, but it's really quite straightforward. You take parameters, you take measurements from the floor height upstairs, floor height downstairs, width, length, and you go on a website which has got a staircase builder on it. You plug those measurements in, and it gives you a design, and then it tells you the price, and then you can adjust things like, do you want oak, do you want beech or plywood or MDF? Right, okay. Up here, I've done quite a lot of work already. Now this was originally open rafters, a frame of open rafters. And you can see one of them at the end there. That is 120mm of insulation, quite thick insulation. And on the other side of it is a 50mm air gap. And that air gap goes all the way over the top and back down the other side. And there's vents to be put in the soffits on the outside so the air can circulate over the top of that insulation. That insulation is fitted very snugly in between these rafters. I've cut all these myself, I've installed them, and I've put battens on the other side to stop them touching the membrane on the other side. And here is the rafter. Now I've applied some foil tape, which is a vapor barrier. It stops moist air from the outside coming in, and it stops moist air from the inside going out. Stops condensation. It stops what they call a cold bridge. And on the inside of that, because the requirement is 150mm of insulation, I've also got 40mm of insulated plasterboard, as you can see here. That is another 40mm, so 120 plus 40 is 160mm of insulation. It's going to be so warm and toasty up here. This is going to be the office. Underneath there, and insulation, by the way, goes all the way down to the plate. The plate is that piece of wood on top of the wall downstairs. Look, there you can see it. 40mm going all the way down to the plate. Plywood and all this is going to be built out with cupboards, storage cupboards. I've bought some ply to replace these planks so that we can bridge this gap. So that's another little job to do. And then that wall there, which is a gable end, has got double blocks, as you can see. It's got 2 blocks in the cavity. So this is some upcycled, repurposed timber, and I'll be building a stud frame all the way across there, and again filling it with 50mm rigid insulation board, plasterboard on the inside, and that will be a lovely toasty warm. Now you can see there, look, foil tape, insulation, insulated plasterboard, and the electrician has already done the first fix. 5 downlighters in here. And don't forget, the staircase will exit in that direction, turn and go down. There's going to be a cupboard built in here, and that cupboard will have a door on it. And cleverly, I've designed in a removable board there, because underneath there will be the X-Player fan for the bathroom, which is going in that corner. Let's go back downstairs and I'll explain what's going on in terms of internal walls and the space downstairs. Okay, so don't forget, floor height will be raised by about 6 inches. The walls will be brought in by about 6 inches, but even so, it's still quite a nice big space. So there is going to be a partition wall along that beam, vertical, coming all the way down, and in the center there's going to be a doorway. So that will section off this side, and this will be the main living space. Bifold, bifold, and then over in that corner there, on the other side of that partition wall, will be an ensuite. So we'll go over there now. The ensuite will be in this corner. It will be basically a shower, toilet, sink, and I will drill through that wall, and the drains will go into that trench down to the septic tank. I hope this is all clear for you, because I'm aware that I am kind of waffling. These are all the electrics, cables for lights, for plug sockets, for radiators, and also a new electric boiler. Is going to be one of these modern, efficient electric boilers. In the old days, you used to call them geysers. It's going to be on that wall there, and that boiler will be in a cupboard unit, which will feed a sink unit here, and the shower, and the sink. So there we go. I think that's a good roundup, but I'll come back on camera now and kind of say goodbye. So there you go, an update on what's been keeping me busy and slightly absent from YouTube. But there will be lots of videos to come on all the individual parts of this. Now, one last thing I wanted to tell you about was I got a discount code from a supplier called Materials Market. I did write to them and ask for it. I want to show you that things like timber, insulated plasterboard, and all things to do with building, Materials Market it's called, you can get a discount. So there's a link for Materials Market in the description box below this video. You get 5% off your first order. I've been using them and I think they're brilliant. Go ahead and have a look. I think they're competitively priced. Delivery is virtually always the next 2 days. And I do get a commission if you use my link. So number one, thank you. But number two, please use my link if you possibly can. And don't forget, you get 5% off your first order. Winter is coming. I'll be back out in the garden this weekend doing some winter protection videos. Got so much to do. Fortunately, a lot of my plants that are out there that are tender can now come up here in this loft and stay warm for the winter. I'll see you soon for some more house and garden adventures, and if you've got any comments or advice or tips, drop them in the comments below. Bye for now.